Hey yogis, welcome. Let's get started at the top of the mat in Tadasana, mountain pose. Take a moment to get consciously grounded through both feet here. Maybe rolling weight from outer edges to inner arches, from back to front, really engaging the soles of the feet. Take a deep breath to get centered. Now let's start to synchronize breath with this movement in the feet. Inhaling to pour weight into the toes, exhaling to lean back into the heels. Inhale forward, exhale to lean back. Let each progressive breath grow deeper and more expansive. We'll focus today on finding length and expansion through the whole body. So notice how the power of breath can really help you to push your limits here. Draw hands to your heart as you center your weight over your feet. We'll inhale to sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands back to the heart. And bow your head to seal an intention for today's practice. Let's release hands, stand tall, and we'll start to warm up the shoulders, inhaling to roll them up to the ears, exhaling to send them down and back. Keep going like this, and let's make each roll of the shoulders larger and larger, really exaggerating the movement. You might continue rocking back and forth on the feet just like before. Maybe even find a bit of a cat-cow sensation in the upper back. Get centered and sweep the arms overhead. Now let's exhale to cactus the arms, sending the elbows wide. To open the heart, we'll draw circles with the elbows, first sending them backward 5 times. Then switching direction for 5 more. Stay energized all the way through fingertips and really engage the shoulder blades. Now straighten the arms and we'll sweep them back one at a time in big circles like we're doing the backstroke. Try to find more and more length in the side body with each circle. We'll switch directions now, circling arms forward, breathing deeply. Now we'll make even bigger circles with both arms together. Inhale, arms up, and point your heart skyward as the arms sweep back. Exhale to reach arms forward and round the upper back. Twice more just like that, warming up the spine like cats and cows. And we'll switch direction for 3 more. Inhaling the arms down and back, exhaling them forward. One more. And then I'm going to take 3 more circles, switching direction again, to really focus on opening my heart. And then we'll settle into mountain pose. Inhale to sweep the arms up with palms together, and exhale to lean over to the right, stretching out the left side ribs and abdomen. Try to keep the shoulders and hips squared to the top of the mat. Inhale back to center, and exhale to tilt to the left, expanding the rib cage, maybe gazing under the right tricep. Inhale back to center, and we'll exhale to twist to the right now, spreading the arms wide. If your balance feels steady, send your gaze to follow the right hand. Inhale back to center, then exhale to twist left, staying firm through the core, squeezing shoulder blades together. Inhale the arms up, and exhale to draw hands to your heart. We'll shift weight to the left leg and lift the right knee. Stretch the arms up again, and we'll challenge our balance by twisting the torso to the right, spreading the arms wide like wings. If you feel steady, gaze behind you. Option to bring the left hand to outer right knee to deepen the twist. Come back to center, lower the right foot, inhale arms up, growing long, and exhale hands to your heart. Shift weight to lift the left knee now, and we'll inhale the arms up. Exhale to twist to the left. You can keep the arms spread wide here, or pin the left knee with the right hand. You can flex the left foot or point the toes. Whatever you choose, just stay actively engaged through the foot. Inhale back to tall mountain pose. We'll exhale hands to your heart, and then send the arms behind you and bend into the knees like a downhill skier. We'll sweep the arms forward for chair pose, sinking deep into the seat. Inhale here, and then exhale to sweep the right arm way back. Inhale both arms forward. Exhale to sweep the left arm back. We'll keep going like this, synchronizing the movement with breath. Squeeze your glutes and core to avoid dumping weight into the low back. See how wide you can get the heart with each twist. Center yourself in chair pose. We'll press the palms together and stretch the arms overhead for a lightning bolt chair pose. You can squeeze the triceps towards your ears. And we'll release into a gentle forward fold, exhaling to empty the belly. And let the arms dangle like a rag doll. Now let's heel toe feet to hips distance and walk fingertips forward a little. We'll point the sits bones really high and bend into the right knee to stretch the left hamstrings. And switch sides, bending into the left knee. Keep pouring weight into the toes and switch sides as you feel the need to. I know my right leg's a little tighter, so I'm spending a little more time on that side. Now stay anchored through fingertips and we'll roll weight into the heels, lifting the toes off the mat. The hips will shift back, and you might even send them from side to side to stretch out the IT bands. You can always use blocks under the hands here if your legs feel really tight, or if you want some assistance with the balance. We'll recenter and lower the toes. Plant hands on shins and inhale to lift halfway. Then we'll exhale into a deep forward fold, pressing belly to thighs, wrapping arms around the legs if it's accessible to you. Keep breathing into the stretch and let your head be really heavy. Inhaling, let's start to roll up slowly to mountain pose, keeping the back rounded as you rise up. Once you land, we'll inhale the arms up. Exhale, hands to heart center. And then we'll shift weight into the left leg again, lifting the right knee. You can repeat the same twist that we did before with the knee bent, or catch the outer edge of the left hand for revolved hand to big toe pose, straightening the right leg in front of you while reaching back with the right arm. Gaze back towards your right hand if you can, and keep rooting your left big toe to the mat. To release, we'll bend the knee first, then turn to face the top of the mat. Plant both feet and sweep arms overhead. Exhale, hands to your heart, and shift weight to lift the left knee now. Again, you can stick with a bent knee twist, or extend the left leg long for revolved hand to big toe pose. Either way, just try to keep the chest lifted and open. This asana really challenges your balance, strength, and flexibility all at once. So give yourself some grace. Wobbling and falling are all part of the journey, and the struggle really does make you stronger. We'll release slowly and with control, landing back into Tadasana. Now let's plant the feet about as wide as the mat and interlace fingers behind the low back, drawing the knuckles down, pointing the heart skyward, maybe taking a back bend if it feels good. Then we'll exhale to hinge at hips and fold forward for a rotator cuff stretch. Keep squeezing the palms towards each other and point the sits bones really, really high. You might sway from side to side to find a little more depth in this stretch. Inhale to lift halfway and release hands to the shins. We'll heel toe feet back to hips distance, and then anchor the fingertips on the mat. And we'll step the right foot way back to land in a lunge. Keep the collarbone broad and the legs really long once you land. Then we'll go ahead and ground the right foot, shifting into side angle pose with the left hand planted just inside the left foot. Let the left shoulder pin the left knee open while the right arm stretches high or across the ear line. It really helps to squeeze the legs towards each other here to get some more openness for the heart. We'll lower the right hand to the mat and drop the right knee. And walk the left fingers over to the left and reach the right arm across the ear line as you tip over to the left, opening the right quads and hip flexors. You can also support the left hand with a block here. Now we'll get centered in a low lunge and exhale to shift the hips back for half Hanumanasana, flexing the left foot. You might try planting both hands inside the left leg as you fold to get a slightly different stretch from the traditional version of this pose. Now let's plant the right hand and stack shoulders to send the left arm up, targeting the IT band, twisting from the core. Keep plugging the left hip back. And we'll try to hold this twist at the core as we rise up, and with the arms spread wide, we'll transition into a funky, twisted half camel. Left hand reaches back for the right heel. We want to try and ground the left foot and grip the mat with left toes while you reach long through the right arm, opening your heart to the sky. Keep squeezing the glutes to protect the low back. Draw one long line of energy from left toes through right fingertips. Inhale to rise up. We'll bend into the left knee. Then plant the right hand to find twisted dragon, pushing the left knee away from the torso with the left hand, opening up that hip. Gaze over the left shoulder. Feel free to sway side to side if it feels good. We'll transition into lizard pose now. I like to come down on forearms and roll onto the outer edge of left foot for this pose, but it's perfectly fine to stay up on hands or blocks, or keep the left knee stacked over the ankle with the left foot grounded. Everyone's hips are different, so choose whatever version serves you best. If it's in your practice, you can take an Ika Pada Koundinyasana 1 from here. We'll tuck the right toes and start by tucking the left shoulder under the left thigh, maybe spreading the arms wide to get a little extra length. And then we'll plant the hands at shoulders distance, fingers spread wide and actively gripping the mat as you inch the left foot forward, maybe off to the left. Bend into the elbows and stay active through both legs as you lift off. It really helps to think about launching forward rather than up. And as always, keep the core engaged. To release, we'll step right into downward dog, finding some length through the shoulders. Inhale forward to plank pose. Exhale through chaturanga. And inhale to cobra or up dog. And exhale back to downward facing dog. We'll inhale to sweep the right leg high, and then step the right foot just outside the right hand. We'll ground the left heel and find side angle pose with the left arm reaching high or across the ear line. Spin your heart up and keep rooting through the outer edge of the left foot. Let's roll the left hand down, drop the left knee to the mat, and we'll walk the right hand off to the right, reaching long through left arm, getting a deep stretch for the left hip flexors and side body. Again, feel free to place a block under the right hand here. Now let's get centered in the low lunge and shift hips back for half Hanumanasana, flexing the right foot. We'll aim to keep the hips square here, but you might plant both hands inside the right leg to spice up this fold a little bit. Find some different fibers in the back of the leg to stretch out. Now we'll plant the left hand and add a twist to this hamstring stretch, reaching high with the right arm, gazing up if it's comfortable for your neck. And we'll try to hold this posture in the upper body as much as possible as we rise up and move into that twisted half camel pose, reaching for the left heel with right hand, grounding the right foot, and reaching back with the left arm. Stay engaged through both legs to find stability in this back bend. Inhale to rise up. We'll bend the right knee, sinking into a lunge. Then plant the left hand on the mat and use the right hand to push the right knee out to the side in twisted dragon, rolling onto the outer edge of the right foot. And feel free to make this a fluid pose, rocking side to side. Next, we'll find lizard pose, taking whatever variation you prefer. The right knee can point straight up or pop out to the side. You can support yourself on blocks, on hands or forearms. Send breath to the hip opening and try to relax into the pose. Again, it's perfectly fine to stay right there, but if flying splits are part of your practice, you can go ahead and tuck the right toes. We'll spread the arms to tuck the right shoulder under the thigh, and then we'll plant hands at shoulder's distance, inching the right foot forward or off to the side. Bend the elbows, grip the mat with all 10 fingers, and launch yourself forward, lifting the left leg, sending energy all the way down through the toes of both feet. We'll release by stepping back into downward dog, getting long through the shoulders. Inhale to sweep the left leg high, and exhale to step both feet to the top of the mat. Inhale to lift halfway, exhale to fold, and inhale to rise up tall, landing in mountain pose. Inhale the arms up again. Exhale to fold forward. Inhale to lift halfway. And we'll exhale to step right into downward facing dog, pressing the rib cage towards the thighs, drawing heels down. We'll inhale to rise up on the toes and exhale to drop knees to the mat, sinking hips to heels, finding child's pose. Let's find some stillness here, gathering breath power for our next sequence. Now we'll shift forward into Sphinx pose, resting on the forearms, sending the heart forward and the shoulders back. Root your pelvis to the mat and press into the palms to straighten arms for seal pose. Just a gentle back bend. Now we'll lower and reach the arms further forward, grounding palms and pulling with both arms to create some length through the spine. Next, we'll take locust pose. You can keep stretching the arms forward or interlace fingers behind the low back. Squeezing the legs together as you lift everything up, shining the heart forward. Keep your breath deep and steady. We'll exhale to release. Press up into tabletop. And take cat pose to counter that back bend, rounding the shoulders and pushing the hips forward. We'll inhale to a brief cow pose, arching the spine. Then find a neutral tabletop and center the left hand under your chest. We'll reach high with the right arm and then thread the needle, sending it under the left armpit. Rest a cheek on the mat and reach long through the left arm, settling into this twist for the thoracic spine. And we'll draw the left hand in, press ourselves back up to tabletop, then center the right hand and send the left arm up with an inhale. Exhale to thread the needle, resting the left cheek on the mat. The right hand can reach straight up, or you might try walking it a few inches over to the left to deepen the twist. And use your right hand for support as you lift back up to tabletop. We'll move into puppy pose now, stretching both arms forward, keeping the hips stacked high over the knees. You can rest your forehead on the mat or your nose, or maybe even the chin, and gaze forward if it's not a strain for your neck. Melt the heart down. Grip the mat with all 10 fingers to keep the arms actively engaged. With an inhale, we'll shift forward into Sphinx pose. And we'll bend both knees and reach back to catch the feet or ankles, preparing to lift up into bow pose. We'll kick back into both palms to lift up, engaging the glutes and hamstrings to protect the low spine. And try not to let the knees splay too wide. Look straight ahead, or send your gaze up if it's comfortable. Release with control. Then we'll send the hips back and get some relief for the spine with rabbit pose. We'll root the crown of the head on the mat just by your knees and grip the heels with your hands. Keep the spine rounded as you lift the hips up. The tension in your arms should be bearing most of the weight here. We're resting almost no weight on the head and neck. It should feel like relief, so if there's any pain in the cervical spine, release the pose. Now releasing, this is a chance for us to take an inversion if it's in your practice. If it isn't, feel free to rest or take a few vinyasas to stay warm. I'll be taking headstand with split legs. Take your time setting yourself up for success, planting the crown of the head on the mat to keep the neck nice and long. And try to get the hips stacked high over the shoulders before lifting legs. I didn't give myself quite enough space from the wall here, but it's actually a really good core exercise to hold shallow splits and inversions. Really forces the legs to work against gravity and the psoas muscles to engage. You can stick with inverted splits, or you might choose to squeeze the legs together with knees bent or straight. Whatever you choose, keep breathing deeply and pressing firm into the mat with both forearms. Keep squeezing at the core to release with control. And we'll move into child's pose to stretch out the spine. We'll inhale to rise up and exhale to lie down on your belly, spreading the arms wide to a T. Root the right palm and roll onto your right side for a broken wing pose, using the left hand and foot for support. You might find stillness here, or keep the twist fluid if it feels good. Exhale to roll back to center, spreading the arms wide. We'll root the left palm and roll over to the left side now, pinning the shoulder open. Let your head rest in whatever position helps you to avoid straining your neck. And if you want more of a twist for the low back, let the right knee drape really wide. We'll roll back to center, push up to tabletop, and we'll move to flip over and take a reverse plank on the forearms, lying back. Engage all the muscles in the back of the legs, and let your heart get wide open, maybe dropping the head back if it feels safe, pushing the hips high. Exhale to drop the hips. Now we'll plant hands with fingers pointing to the top of the mat to take another reverse plank with the arms straightened. Really use the glutes to tuck the tailbone and try to draw your big toes down towards the mat. Release with an exhale and find your way to a recline. We'll bend knees and plant feet near the sits bones, preparing for bridge pose. Hands can rest by your sides, or you might choose to interlace fingers below your seat once you lift up. You can stay right here or transition into wheel pose, planting hands by the ears. Squeeze the glutes and think about gripping the mat with toes so that the legs are pulling rather than pushing the hips up. Give yourself a gentle release. And let's hug the knees to outer ribs and rock side to side, finding relief for the low back. We'll keep the knees lifted and spread the arms wide. You can keep the knees bent or straighten the legs and then let them drape over to the left for a twist. Gaze to the right hand if it's comfortable. Now let's inhale the legs back to center and exhale to send them over to the right. Knees can be bent or straight. And you can always use the right hand to pin the knees down if you want to take this twist even deeper. Just be sure to keep the left shoulder pinned to the mat. Let's roll to center and draw the knees into the chest for happy baby pose. You can catch hold of the toes, the outer edges of feet or ankles, whatever's accessible, and draw the knees down towards the mat. Rock side to side to massage the low back. And if you like, you might go ahead and stretch the legs long and out to the side one at a time, finding some extra length in the hamstrings. Now let's send the legs long and draw them into the chest, sort of like a forward fold on your back. You can grip the ankles or calves. And keeping hold of the right leg, we can send the left heel down to the mat, enjoying the new length you've created for your hamstrings today. We'll inhale to switch legs, pulling the left leg in and sending the right leg long. There's really no need to strain here. Just try and enjoy it as a passive stretch. Now we'll draw both legs in, maybe giving them one last squeeze. And then send the legs and toes overhead for plow pose, aiming to tuck the toes above you. If the toes reach the ground easily, you can send the legs high one at a time for one-legged shoulder stand. And if that's gone well on both sides, you might even move into a full shoulder stand if it's available to you. Just keep the neck straight and draw the elbows in towards your midline. Be sure not to skimp on breath here. Squeeze your seat, and if you decide to support the low back with your hands, keep the fingers engaged so you won't be dumping too much weight into the wrists. We'll release really slowly, making our way to a final resting pose for Shavasana. I'll be taking a traditional corpse pose, lying on my back with arms and legs spread. But feel free to bring in props for comfort or support in whatever pose helps you to relax into a meditative state. Let your palms face the sky. Relax your fingers. Close your eyes and let your breath settle into a natural rhythm. I want to invite you to reflect on what it feels like, both physically and emotionally, to expand beyond your perceived limits, to stay grounded while reaching towards the sky, to experience growth like plants do, with your roots sprawling deeper underground, while your leaves and blossoms stretch towards the sun. Consider the balance between effort and patience here. How this growth might be imperceptible on a day-to-day basis, but with consistent nourishment and time, we can eventually surpass even our wildest expectations. Settle in here, and I'll wake you in a couple of minutes. Let's start to initiate small, gentle movements in the hands and feet to come back. Taking our time waking up. You can stretch the arms overhead, draw legs together, and take a deep inhale, getting nice and long through the front body. You might send the arms over to the right and then left to get some side body stretches in here as well. And when you're ready, you can hug knees into chest. Roll over to one side. And gently push yourself up to a seat. And gently push yourself up to a seat. I want to thank you so much for practicing with me today. I really hope you'll join me here on the mat again soon. Till then, take extra good care of yourself and enjoy whatever peace you can find. Namaste.